Okay, well, welcome back if you're watching this video. This is part 5, I believe, and we're going over 5.3, okay? 5.3, chapter 5.3, and we finished last video with 11 and 12, and now we're going to do 13. So let's do 13. So here we go, 13. We have a squared plus b times c minus 2 squared, okay? Then after that, we have what? We have a equals 1/6, okay? And then b equals 5/4, and then we have c equals 8/3. All right, yes, all positive. That makes things that could make things easier. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to substitute this a into this a, and the b into the b, and then the c into the c. Okay, so here we go. Let's change the color. So a turns into 1/6, and then we're going to square that in a second here. Not just yet, but in a second. Plus b, and b is 5/4. 5 over 4. All right. And then c. C is going to be 8/3. All right. Minus 2. We're going to square that. Okay. So according to order of operations, we need to do parentheses first, and then we need to do power. So we're just going to focus on this for the time being. Okay. So 8/3 minus 2. Well, we just need to remember that 2 is 2 over 1. Okay, so let's now say that now that we remember that 2 is really 2 over 1, we can then find the common denominator, and in this case it's 3. So we're going to make 2 over 1 an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 3. Okay, so we're going to times top and bottom by 3, so it's going to be 8 over 3 minus 6 over 3, okay? And then that turns into 2/3, like so. And then we've got to remember that it's squared. And I'm just working on this. I'm not focused on this right now. Let's just forget about that for right now. So then this turns into 4/9. Perfect. Now we're just going to leave it like that, 4/9 for the moment, okay? So now let's focus on this one, because we squared this one, right? Exponents, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, subtraction, and addition, right? Though that's the order of operations. Actually, it's addition and then subtraction. But anyway, so we need to square this as well. So let's square that. So this is going to turn into 1 squared is 1, and 6 squared is 36. So 36 like that. Okay. Let's rewrite the problem. This plus 5/4. Okay. And then this is 4/9. Oh, no. There we go, 4/9. Perfect. All right, so then we're going to do multiplication next, and we multiply this straight across. We get, what do we get? We get 5 times 4 is 20, and 4 times 9 is 36. Okay, so then let's rewrite that equation, and it is 1 over 36 minus 20 over 36. All right, well, they share the same denominator, so we can minus the 20 from the 1. So this turns out to be equals negative 19/36. We can't reduce any farther. 19, if I'm not mistaken, is a prime number, so that's the answer for 13. We're going to skip 14, and we're going to jump right into 15, okay? So let's do that. Here we go. 15. Okay. Let's use a different color now. Let's use this color right here. Okay, so 15. All right, so 15 is based off of this formula, okay? No, I don't like that color. It's not going to work. Let's try this color instead. T equals 1/2 times the square root of s. Okay, that's the formula we're using, and this formula is based off of the formula that we learned in chapter 4, and it's the hang time formula. Hang time means how long does a person hang in the air, how long after you jump into the air before you come back down, and that is this. This is the equation. So basically, if you jump 25 feet up, which would be difficult for a human being to do, but if you did it, then it would be 25, square root of 25 is 5 times 1/2, and so then you'd have 5 halves, which would turn into 2.5 seconds, okay? Because T stands for seconds, all right? All right, that's what T stands for, okay? Seconds. And then S stands for height, how high, in feet, all right? So this is S. S stands for feet. How many feet are you up in the air, okay? So again, T stands for seconds, and S stands for feet, okay? All right, so then we go down to 15, and it says that somebody jumped 2 feet, 2 1/4 feet into the air, okay? So since we know that S is feet, and we know that in this case they jumped 2 1/4 feet into the air, we're going to take that and put it up here into the S. So let's do that. So T equals 1/2 times the square root of 2 1/4. Now can we square root 2 1/4 and get a whole number, or get a rational number? In this case, it looks difficult, but yes, we can, because what we're going to do is we're going to change this mixed number into an improper fraction. So we're just going to focus on this right now. We're not going to mess around with that. So this is 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So 9/4, okay? And then can we square root 9/4? Indeed we can. That turns into 3 halves, okay? And so then we have T equals 1/2 times 3 halves, which turns into 3/4. So that means that T equals 3/4, and 3/4, it's time in seconds. So the person is in the air 3/4 of a second. So if a person jumps 2 1/4 feet, they're in the air for 3/4 of a second. Not very long, but there you have it. That's how long they're in the air. All right, let's do, we're not going to do 16. We're just going to skip past 16 because it's more of the same that we did in previous sections. And so we're just going to skip past that. So we're going to go right to 17. Okay, so here we go. Let's try some different colors out. Let's have some fun here. So 17. 17a is 1 2/3 x equals 20. Okay, well, we're going to change this into a proper fraction. So it's 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, and then just keep the same denominator, which is 3x, all right, equals 20. And then we want to get x by itself, but so what we need to do is we need to do the opposite operation of what's going on here. What is going on here? It's 5/3 times x. So we need to divide 5/3, and when we divide by a fraction, we times by the reciprocal, Let's use a different color, shall we? Times by reciprocal. And so that's 5/3. Cancels out, and we times this by 5/3 as well. I mean, not 5/3, 3/5. All right, and we know from past experiences, that when we have a whole number such as this, and we're timesing it by a fraction such as this, we only times by the numerator. And so this would, I'm trying to help you see this pattern, this would be 20 times 3. Let's make sure let's use that again. 20 times 3 divided by 5, okay? And then before we do anything, let's reduce that to, not reduce a factor to 4 times 5. See, like that? And then we can cancel out the 5s here. So now there's no number on bottom. Well, I mean, I guess there is, it's 1, but any number over here divided by 1 is just going to be this number. So now we have two numbers on top, 4 and 3. So the answer to this whole thing is x equals 12. Okay? All right, let's make some room, and let's do another one. So b is 3 1/2. N, all right, so let's do n equals -1 1/6. Okay, so let's do this. So let's change both of these to an improper fraction. So when we do that, we have 2 times 3 plus 1 is 7/2. Okay, 7/2 n equals, and then this times this is 6 plus 1 is 7, so 7/6. Okay, all right, now we know this is 7/2 times n, so what do we need to do? Well, we need to divide by 7/2, but when we divide by a fraction, we need to flip it, times by its reciprocal, which we're doing here. And we times this by 2/7 as well. And then again, like we've mentioned before many times, when we have two fractions and we multiply them together, if one number that is on top is also found on the bottom, we can cancel those out. And then this is actually 2 times 3, so that makes this and this cancel out. And we also need to remember that this is a negative, so just make sure that we don't forget that. Let's put that negative there so we don't forget that. Okay, so then what do we have? Well, we have a 3 on bottom, and all these canceling up here left a 1 up above. So because of that, there's this 1 up above right here. There's a 1 up above, and there's a 1 over here as well, technically. And as 1 times 1 is 1, so, and then when we canceled all these out, there was 1's down below, but anything times 1 is itself, so there's 3 down below. So then it's just 1 over 3, and then we gotta remember this negative, so it's -1/3. All right, let's do C. Here we go. So the answer to that last problem was -1/3, just so you know. So now here's C. C, let's use a different color, and let's do 1 1/7. X equals -1 3/14. All right, now let's change this to improper fractions. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8, so this turns into 8/7 x. Okay, equals, and then 14 times 1 is 14, plus 3, so it's 17/14. And then we now make sure that remember that this is indeed a negative, and then we need to divide by 8/7 in order to get x by itself, but when we divide by 8/7, we times by the reciprocal, so now it's 7/8, okay? And then what we do to one side, we do to the other, so now we times this by 7/8 as well. And then we're going to solve. So look at this. We have this 2 down here. I mean, not this 2, we have this 14 down here, and that's also going to be rewritten as 2 times 7. So then we have 7 on top, 7 on bottom, so we cancel those out, like so. And we have a 2 on bottom, and an 8 on bottom, and a 17 on top, which makes this equal to, make this equal to negative 17/16, like so. And then we go, okay, now we need to make this a mixed number. So let's make it a mixed number. How many times would 16 go into 17? Well, that's one time. And then what would be left over? Well, when we say left over, we're saying, okay, we're talking about long addition here. So 16 into 17, okay? Goes into this one time. 16 is on bottom. And there's a remainder of 1. That's what we mean by left over. And that's 1. So then we divide that by the 16. So it is, let's see here, hold on. It's 1/16 to the side of there, and then we've got to remember that's a negative, so the answer is -1 and 1/16. So that's it. That is the end of the activities for 5.3, and we'll stop the video here.